Overall, this roof is not in that bad a shape. Some of the caulk has started to crack and got these little pinholes in it. We've got a few staples that are in the frame just underneath this rubber sheeting that have begun to push their way through. This staple is actually completely exposed, so I'm going to tap these back down with a hammer and cover that with caulk. And if that doesn't work, I'll come back with some rubber tape, and that ought to fix it. I'll try whatever means necessary, and it'll be trial and error to figure out how the best way to go about fixing these staples that are punching through the rubber fabric here. All right, I've got all the potential leak areas caulked. Most of these areas were not actually leaking water. You can see these little blobs here I've put over just potential leaking spots around all the vents. The next step now is to tape some stuff off and get ready for paint. Hello everybody, it's a beautiful morning in Dayton, Virginia. A little breezy, but it shouldn't have too much of a negative effect on anything we're doing today. The weather report is showing that we have a beautiful 48 hours ahead of us. So I'm gonna go ahead and tape off this roof, cut in with a brush the areas that are gonna be difficult to get with the roller, and then begin applying the rubber sealant. Once that first coat dries, I will then be applying a second coat. All right, that wraps it up for the first coat. The product I was using was this blackjack. It works best on metal roofs apparently, but I watched a bunch of videos where people were using it on the rubber roof, and they were showing videos of 3 years after, and it looked great. It looked like it held up fine, it wasn't peeling. We cleaned the roof really well before we did this project, and this morning I even buffed it off with a towel. I was using a 3/8 nap roller cover. The instructions on this product say to use 3/4. I went with the 3/8 because I wanted a smoother finish. I didn't want a bunch of dirt and debris getting trapped up on the grittier surface. I applied it heavy. I got to know the product a little bit better about halfway down the roof, so on the second coat I'm really going to knock it out quickly and efficiently, and it's going to look great. That's kind of why I taped so many things off. I'm not a huge tape advocate when it comes to painting, but in this case there wasn't too much to tape. It was easy taping. I didn't have to use my razor blade and cut a whole lot of things out like taping off windows or something in a house. Tape's going to give it a really clean look. I know when we went and looked at a lot of campers to purchase, I walked up on the roofs and saw where people had used a roof coat product, and the paint job was so awful that it was the first thing. When I saw that, I was like, nope, nah, not this camper. The roof actually on this camper was in really good shape when we got it. I'm also a huge fan of these handy pails. I have about 3 of these, and they make other versions that, this one comes with a liner, but there are versions that they're a little cheaper. They don't have liners. Those work great too, but it is so much better than carrying around the can itself or a Dixie cup full of the product. You can adjust the tension grip on the handle here to where it just fits your hand so snug, and most of the time I'm just open grip carrying this pail. You're not exhausting your hand by holding this full thing. I'll fill this thing all the way up. I love that it has the liners, makes cleanup easy. You can also use it without the liner. I'll do that sometimes and clean it out. Great product. I love this thing. This is one of my favorite painting accessories. The wind was a little worse than I had anticipated. At one point it even took the tripod and phone and threw it off the roof. That was great. Handy pail blew off the roof at one time. That wind coming across the surface dried the product way too fast. You had to move. You got to keep moving. If you go back over it and it was dry, it made it all clumpy and lumpy, so hopefully on my second coat I will not have that wind issue. Well, I think that pretty well wraps it up for this project. If you have any questions about the products or the tools that I was using, you can ask those in the comments section below, and I'll do my best to answer those questions and get back to you in a timely fashion. Also, if you'd like to follow us on this renovation journey, even up until the point where we leave the house, you can subscribe to the channel, and that would be the best way for you to stay up to date with what's happening. All right, thank you. The weather report. The weather report. Questions about the products I was using or why them doing. All right, that pretty well. Oh my goodness.